Hello, everybody, and welcome to Istanbul, the city where East meets West. This is the EuroLeague Women Final Four, and you look at the road to the final. CB Avenida taking on UMMC Ekaterinburg later today. But in the third place game, there below that, Sopron Basket taking on Fenerbahce Oznur Kablo. So Sopron Basket squaring off against Fenerbahce here in the third place game of the 2020-2021 EuroLeague Women in the Volkswagen Arena. I'm Jeff Taylor, joined by Shona Thorburn. And Shona, always better to leave an event on the back of a win. Both of these teams will be eager to come out here and clinch third place in this wonderful competition.
Absolutely, Jeff. Like you said, you want to leave with a good feeling, a good sensation at the end of the Final Four, and to get a win tonight would be big for both of these clubs. You're still, obviously, you finished top four in the EuroLeague, but you want to win. You want to win that third place game, even though it's not really the reason that you came all the way to Istanbul. But like you said, I think it would be a very, very good finish and season for Sopron to pull it off. And obviously Fenerbahce, the kind of club and the history that they are, they want to finish as high as possible.
Well, Istanbul has hosted the EuroLeague Women Final Four before, most recently back in 2016, and was also a city that hosted one of the hubs this year in this very different year because of the pandemic, which, to allow for minimal travel, the regular season was organized with a shorter competition system with teams split into four groups of four teams rather than two groups of eight teams. And the games were played in the single venue hub. So only the top two teams in each of those four groups qualified for the quarterfinals, and then we advanced to, obviously, the Final Four. So it has been a different season, a demanding season. All of these players, a lot of testing. When they take a trip, they don't go and just play one game. They've been playing several games or a few games. And we're right at the climax of the season. You look at Sopron, and they had such high hopes coming into this EuroLeague Women Final Four, and they just did not turn on all cylinders the other night, did they?
No, they didn't. I think, they obviously are probably disappointed. Going into the game, I really thought it was a toss-up between Avenida and Sopron who would come out on top. After watching the game, I can tell you, considering I watched all of Sopron's games this year, that they did not play the best basketball that they have been playing all season. So I'm sure they're going to want revenge individually, but then also as a team.
Well, Fenerbahce also, they had their chance to spring the biggest win of all against Ekaterinburg on opening night. They fell behind by 12 points. They battled back. They tied it. They had the ball. And they had possession, and they didn't score. And then at the other end, they got a big defensive stop, but they couldn't prevent Brittany Grinder from getting a big offensive rebound and then passing to Emma Messaman underneath the basket. She ended up getting a three-point play. So close, but yet so far for Fenerbahce.
Yeah, absolutely. I think, it was probably one of the best EuroLeague games that we've seen all season. And for that to happen in a semifinal, I think Fenerbahce, really gave ECAT a scare and a run for their money.
So the one player that didn't really turn on all cylinders the other night was for this Sopron basket team was Gabby Williams, and that was a disappointment, obviously for her. And I'm not sure if she's even playing today, Shona. It looks like she might be wearing her sweats, so it's a disappointing Final Four for her. And Sopron, again, are going to have to prove they can win without, their star player, because she was named All EuroLeague Women first team this season.
Yeah, I was actually really looking forward to seeing Gabby Williams go up against Igapova. So you had the Defensive Player of the Year, but then also the MVP of the year, and how good of a battle would that have been? But like you said, Jeff, we saw her there. She's in her sweats. She looked like she did have some ice around her knee, so obviously the health and safety of your players is more important than a game, unfortunately,
Well,
for the fans.
Yeah, we saw Victor Lepena walking over, and no doubt still going through his mind what might have been had they been able to pull off the win against the Katzenberg. Probably he comes out of this Final Four, especially if they win this game, with some credit. I mean, I don't know how many people really thought Fenerbahce could push a Katzenberg the way that they did the other night, and it really did come down to, a couple of possessions between them and getting that win that this famous women's club has been seeking for so long. That opportunity to play in the final.
Yeah, I think a win tonight would definitely end your season on a high note. I'm sure that loss on Friday night to ECAT, knowing that you put yourself in a situation to win.
By the way, Shona, so from Romania, Andrada Sinder, Vintislav Velikov, and Amel Dara from Bulgaria and France, respectively, getting the call today to referee the third place game. And for David Gaspar, again, his team had their chances. They were in the lead early in the second half, and things just kind of unraveled from that standpoint. But Victor Lepena from Spain, one of the three Spanish coaches that's here at this EuroLeague Women Final Four, formerly an assistant coach for the Spain women's national team that is one of the powerhouses. And I think it's pretty evident that he has coached with some of the best coaches, and he's really he's done a fantastic job. Satu Sabally, Kia Vaughn, Jasmine Thomas, Kayla McBride, and Elena Yagapova starting. And there you see the bench as well. Ojai Shakur among those coming off the Turkish international for Fenerbahce. In the starting five will be Zofia Fegvernecki. We're not going to see the starting five, it appears.
Fevernecki,
Brian January, and
Walker,
and we will, Yelena Brooks. So this is an interesting head-to-head. The veteran on the left against the up-and-coming star Satu Sabally. Both of them have good numbers. Do you fall into the category of believing that Satu Sabally is only scratching the surface of her potential?
Oh, absolutely, Jeff. And I think she's proved it here in this EuroLeague season. She had a couple quiet games, maybe didn't produce quite like she could have, but she's definitely a go-to player, and she's a go-to player who's still young and has a lot left to give. It's really exciting to see her and to see how she's progressed over this season, her first professional season. And then it will be interesting to see what she can do also for the German national team in the future.
Okay, so here we are again. Fegvernecki, Krajnik, Brian January, Megan Walker, and Yelena Brooks. And their coach, Sopron Basket, is David Gaspar.
I really think Coach Gaspar with Sopron, I'm sure he had some votes. There he is. He had some votes for Coach of the Year this year, just what he has done with Sopron. And, it was kind of what many would consider a rebuilding club. Not club, but a rebuilding year. And he made it to the Final Four. So there's not much more he really could have done.
Well, you're an assistant coach for Basket Lions, and you guys played in the EuroLeague Women this year, and you faced Sopron, and I would assume that his teams presented Basket Lions with a lot of challenges.
Yeah, I mean, not just against us, but also against Bourges and Galatasaray, and then they went on and they, qualified over Lyon Asvel. So he did a really, really good job with not a very big roster, as far as some of these other rosters in the Women's EuroLeague.
Well, good afternoon, everybody, and welcome to Istanbul, Turkey. This is the EuroLeague Women Final Four. It's the third place game between Sopron and Fenerbahce winning the opening tip, attacking the basket to the right, and already a foul has been called on Sopron. Elena Yagapova, the recently named the MVP of the EuroLeague Women for the second consecutive year. Of course, last year there was no champion because of the coronavirus pandemic, but it was pretty universal opinion about Yagapova and her brilliance, and really, shown that she played like an MVP the other night in the other semifinal against Ekaterinburg.
Yeah, Jeff, you always, for the last many years know that she can score. And I really think where she has just elevated and taken her game to the next level is her decision making, but then also her passing. You knew she could pass before, but maybe she was forcing the ball, forcing shots a little bit too much. And now she has just developed and progressed as a player.
Well, Sopron get it down low to Krajnik, and she puts up a little left-handed jump hook, but can't get it to drop. So Thomas now brings it back, gets it over to McBride, who I thought was excellent also the other night against Ekaterinburg. Thomas sees her attempt rattle out, and Krajnik gets one of the many rebounds, no doubt that she's going to come down with. Brooks to Fegvernecki, gets it back now. Yelena Brooks puts it up on the baseline. And McBride now over to Yagapova, who passes up. And an easy one for Satu Sabally, her first 2 points of the game.
A little bit of miscommunication there by Sopron's get-back defense. No one had the runner, Sabally.
Well, nice bounce pass to Krajnik, and then she runs into Sabally, but a foul has been called on the young German. And looked like, Shona, she just, was she there too late or perhaps sliding in front of her?
Yeah, I'm not sure she was inside or outside the little semicircle as well. She was definitely straight up. Maybe she arrived just a little bit too late.
So the first point of the game has been scored by Krajnik, and she misses the second, and Sabally rebounds that miss and hands it off to Thomas. Players like Sabally, it's going to be interesting to see how she performs next year. Every year of experience in the EuroLeague Women, you would imagine, is going to be huge for her and her development. Jump hook not there for Kia Vaughn, and now it's going to be Sopron with a chance to tie it if they can hit a three. Fegvernecki has been around a while as well for Sopron, a veteran. Krajnik at the elbow. And the rebound, Kayla McBride. Sabally gets to the baseline and goes up, attempted the reverse layup. The move was there, but the finish was not. Fegvernecki. And now again, another chance to run. You look at that no-look pass from Yagapova. And Sabally with her second basket.
Yeah, again, not really the kind of defense and the intensity that we're used to seeing from Sopron on defense here, giving up two easy fast break layups to Sabally.
Pass down to Walker. Ball ends up with Brooks, and she has to hurry it up with shot clock winding down. Krajnik gets the rebound. Now Walker and a foul, a push called on Thomas. Sometimes I think Sopron might be in a little bit of a rush here. Krajnik decided to go straight back up with it against Vaughn, maybe thinking she was going to get a foul called. Brooks, that's where she likes to be, but off target with her first three attempt. Now down low, and Sabally misses a layup. So two layups in a row missed by Sabally. Fegvernecki sees her way into the paint. Now passes it back outside to Walker. And the ball, she loses control of it, and it goes out of bounds. I guess, McBride is not the easiest player to go up against, is she?
I was just going to say, I mean, we'll keep talking about Sopron's defense, but obviously Fenerbahce is a good defensive team to have made it this far. I know last game was more offensive related against Ekaterinburg, but you still have to come up with big stops and big plays at certain times of the game, and Fenerbahce can easily do that, especially against maybe a team without Gabby Williams that doesn't really have as much star power right now in Sopron.
Well, putting the ball in the basket has been an issue for this Sopron team, and unfortunately, you wouldn't bet on Gabby Williams having 2 tough nights in a row at the office, but we're not going to be able to see that. Here's McBride, meanwhile, and she buries a 3. Fegvernecki. Tell you, McBride is she's a gamer and did not back down an inch against Ekaterinburg the other day. Here's Fegvernecki, and Sopron just having all sorts of issues putting the ball in the basket.
Yeah, you talk about not backing down McBride. I mean, McBride has been playing in this league for quite a few years now. She's played in Russia. She's played in other countries and other big clubs. So you expect a player like her not to back down no matter who you're going up against.
Walker goes behind her back. And the ball batted out of bounds by Kia Vaughn. Another of the really solid performers the other night. I see a lot of reaching. A lot of referees will call a foul there. Timeout on the court, Shona, taken by Sopron as Gaspar tries to get some easier looks perhaps on offense.
Yeah, I think it's also giving his players a little bit of a breather, telling them to calm down. I mean, considering how they've played so far early in this game, clearly the game leaders don't have a lot of big stats at this moment given the score, but for me it's just a matter of, okay, you know what, we've given up a couple really, really easy baskets. I think they've got lucky. Sabally missed a couple of easy baskets as well, but the way that they've started this game, I think they're lucky to only be down 8 points instead of, what could potentially have been almost a 15, 16-point lead already for Fenerbahce.
So Fegvernecki with just 3.6 seconds on the shot clock. Inbounds the basketball to Brooks, and Brooks is able to get it up. But again, not able to knock it down. Now McBride. Well, almost Brooks was able to knock that basketball away. Here they come now. And Walker comes to the left corner. January gets it to Brooks. And you can see a little bit of frustration there for Yelena Brooks right at the end. She's hemmed in.
Good defensive possession there by Fenerbahce. You saw the mismatch, Thomas Hetzigar Brooks and Kia Vaughn, who's a great defensive. Oh.
Well, they make a mistake on the inbounds pass. Now, as a coach, when you see your team give up a basket like that, that must give you a few gray hairs.
Yeah, it's frustrating because, it's something specifically that teams will scout and talk about before the game starts. But then again, I mean, good teams, especially at this level, are always coming up with other ways to score, even though your first, second, third option are taken away.
Kia Vaughn showing that silky smooth jump shot, that stroke. Now trying to get the answer. Brooks goes down. Gaspar appealing for a foul. And his appeal falls on deaf ears. Thomas bounce pass to Vaughn. And it just goes from bad to worse. Kia Vaughn now on consecutive possessions, coming up with baskets for Fenerbahce. And it does Shona seem like their lead should be bigger than it is. That's very well within striking distance. Here you go. Here's Walker. And she's well short. Now Thomas in the open floor. Ojai Shakur going to check into the game as well for Fenerbahce. Vaughn again, and this time, despite being wide open, not able to knock it down. And the dump, and Hatar! Well, if they can get Hatar involved, that would certainly help their chances. Not a huge score issue, but again, one of those players you feel like sometimes maybe doesn't get as many touches as she should. Yakupova bumped on the outside.
You and I have covered her at a Eurobasket where, we saw her do really well for Hungary, has a soft little touch, especially around the basket, little outside shot. She did miss the first hub of the women's EuroLeague season this year with an injury, so she didn't come back until about January.
So she's rounding into top shape now, I guess. Well, they end up with a wide open shot, Yakupova, and I tell you what, you don't want to leave her open, and she just makes it look easy. And now the double-digit lead is 11 points. Nothing is coming easy for this Sopron basket team. Yakupova, look at the pass again to McBride. She follows up the miss and gets it to go. She's just stuck with it. She is such a tough-nosed player.
Yeah, she really is. She's such a great three-point shooter as well, so you really have to respect her three-point shooting, but if that's taken away, she's still able to attack the basket, make tough shots around the basket. She has good body control.
Oh, that was a collision between Ojai Shakur Turgut and Brian January, and they called the charge. They called the offensive foul, rather, on January. So Shakur takes one for the team, now brings it up, and her team on top by 13 points. Another Turkish international, Janitez, comes in and is called for an offensive foul. Must have happened before we saw it there. Here's Fegbranecki. Brooks, eventually this is going to drop, and it does.
There's only so many open shots that Brooks is going to miss until, she finally starts making them. Seen a little bit of frustration here early in this game from her, but it's something that we definitely saw last game on Friday night.
Do you think that the word relentless would be a good adjective for...
To describe McBride?
Yes, because she just doesn't let up, does she?
No, she doesn't, but she's such a good player. I mean, obviously, for Fenerbahce, the person that you talk about is the MVP, and that's Yakupova, but you have to remember there's a reason why they almost beat ECAT, and there's a reason why they're playing in the Final Four, and they're, I'm sure, going to be playing for the title in Turkey, and it's because the surrounding players away as well, like McBride, Like here we have Kia Stokes, you have Kia Vaughn, who's a great defensive player, more of a defensive rebounder, runs the offense. She already has 4 points tonight, so clearly she can score. So, yeah, you have the best player on the team and in the league, but you need to have surrounding pieces to be successful.
Well, at least Brooks is now kind of shouldering the scoring for her team. 2 trips in a row where she's been able to hit jump shots. But don't want to trade baskets with this Fenerbahce team. Got to get some stops, and Shakir Turgut draws the foul. So free throws coming for Fenerbahce. And Shakir misses the first player that Turkey leaned heavily on the international scene. She's hit some big shots for them over the years. Probably Turkey not the force that they once were. She's short again. And now the final seconds ticking off the clock. She gets it off in time, and a foul call. Or no, there was not a foul. Sorry, I thought he called a foul. So a frustrating first quarter for Sopron as Fenerbahce leading at 22-9.
And a quick look at the statistics. Fenerbahce shooting 54% compared to just 29%. Look at that, 0 for 4 from three-point land for Sopron. And then both teams shooting 50% from the free throw line. But really, Jeff, I don't know about you, I just feel like Fenerbahce are just getting what they want to get on offense. It's a lot easier for them to get good looks. They've missed some easy looks, but they're also getting good opportunities. Here you see Sabally running in the fast break. Absolutely no one, well, I mean, they were back on defense, but they had no idea where she was. McBride, one of the best three-point shooters, if not, I think she is the best three-point shooter in this year's competition. And, every point that Sopron has, I know it's 9 points only, but I feel like they have to fight for them, and they've had to take, difficult shots before that. Whereas here you see, Kia Vaughn wide open and after setting in a screen, rolling to the basket. So the game just looks a lot easier right now offensively for Fenerbahce compared to Sopron.
And we're also kind of seeing why Fenerbahce were, able to push the Katzenberg the way that they did and almost win that semifinal. I mean, they are a talented bunch, and sometimes you might expect a team to come out and be flat after a loss like that, but not them. They have come out and been sharp, and maybe a little pressure on them to come away with at least one win in this Final Four. And really the team that's been flat has been Sopron, even without Gabby Williams.
Yeah, absolutely. I think when you're hosting an event like this, they expect you to come up with at least a win.
So Victor Lepena. Be interesting to, he was effusive with his praise for his team, how they've coped with all the difficulties of COVID. Some players missed some games, but they've made it to the Final Four and certainly have been turning on the style in this game. Zandalicini comes in and right away hits from downtown. Oh, boy, that was a nice cut for Sopron to get an easy basket down on the baseline. Fenerbahce defense extended a little bit too much. Sabally, though, goes to the other end, and now she misses. Bernadette Hattar picked up her dribble, gets it back to Walker, pulls up, and Can't get it to drop.
The refs are going to review something here.
Okay, so they want to see if Zandalicini hit a 3 or a 2. Well, since we watched Zandalicini kind of burst onto the scene big time at the Eurobasket Women back in 2017, right, with Italy. She's certainly has looked like the real deal, hasn't she?
She absolutely has. It's funny because we kind of watch these teams. Now we all know who Zandalicini is, and you say, well, why doesn't Zandalicini maybe play a little bit more? But then you have McBride, you have Igapova, you have Sabally, kind of all in similar positions. And then, but of course, as soon as she steps on the court, one of those where sometimes, especially she's still young, but I think a veteran player would say, okay, take your time, first touch of the game, it doesn't have to be a shot. And I was just about to say, oh, that shot was kind of a little bit forced. But then you forget it's Zandalicini. She can make those difficult shots. So you say, okay, why not? You kind of, it's kind of the joy of how you coaching such good and talented players that first time they come on the court, you can run a set play for them and they can score a basket.
Yeah, it's quite a luxury to have a player like her coming off the bench. So they did rule that as a 3-pointer. Here's Sabally, meanwhile, stepping back and hitting a 3. Just so many weapons. And now a foul has been called. I suppose the one big change, one big adjustment that they made at Katzenberg the other day when they took on this Fenerbahce team was they had Brianna Stewart. She seemed to play much closer attention to Yagapova and slowed her down a little bit in the second half, which isn't easy to do. Well, good defense. Right now, 17 points. And this thing could get ugly here early for Sopron. If this Fenerbahce team gets another basket, now they're being hounded and a foul called on Brooks. Brooks has certainly had some glory days with in Hungarian basketball over the years, playing here, but also with Serbia's national team. Now another 3 attempt, this time Zandalicini's shot no good. Oh boy. Great move, and she's frustrated that she didn't finish it off to get a potential 3-point play. But that is a player that looks like she knows she has to score, Shona.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, especially without having Gabby Williams tonight, who is their leading scorer throughout this competition. We saw her have an off night the other night where Gabby Williams, she scored 9 points, where she's averaging around 16 a game. But after her, it's Yelena Brooks. So you need her to score. You need her to absolutely pick up, some of the points that you're going to get lost not having Gabby Williams tonight. But at the same time, everyone else needs to step up. Walker, January, Fegranecki, everyone needs to contribute to, make up for not having Gabby Williams.
Well, that was good hands by Walker to knock it out of bounds. So far, Walker just with 2 points, and Brown January has only attempted 1 shot and has missed it. So it really has been an issue of getting points for this Sopron team in this first half. Zandalicini, and is able to get it back after losing it. A little frustrated finish for her there. Well, wide open from the right corner. It's good from Sopron's. Well, that was Dalma Shukor, hitting her first three-pointer. And I don't really remember seeing much of her the other night against Avenida. She might have perhaps deserved some more time. Brooks sneaking in, almost coming up with a steal. She knocks it out of bounds. But you can see showing how that three-point shot can get a team back in it in a hurry.
Yeah, absolutely. Three-point shot, defensive stop. It's all about possessions. You get a couple defensive possessions in a row, put together some scoring possessions in a row, and like you said, you're kind of right back in it. And it's also a three-point shot like that can give a team a little bit of momentum, a little bit of confidence. So you kind of expect them to go down here, maybe be able to play hard defense this possession, and then get an easier score on offense the next time around.
Well, the more experienced players back in now for Fenerbahce, or at least the starting five, with Jagapova, McBride, Thomas, and Vaughn now all in the game. So Le Pena wanting to nip any type of comeback in the bud. And the foul called on Brooks for boxing out. That's number 2. Jagapova spills the ball, gets it back, gets it to Vaughn. She hands it off to Sabally. And Sabally is fouled by Hattar.
Here's a rebounding foul on Brooks. Gave him the ball underneath, and then just a good job there by Sabally being aggressive, attacking the basket, being able to finish and drawing the foul on Hattar. How good is she, and how good is she going to continue to grow?
I just marvel. I mean, to be honest, we marvel when we look at a Katzenberg's lineup, but you look at this lineup right now for Fenerbahce, and it's stacked with talent.
It really is.
And with Sabally, obviously, just a superstar in the making. Walker gets it back to Brooks behind the arc. She lets it fly. Shukor with the offensive rebound. And then called for the bump. Maybe Shukor could have passed it back out instead of forcing up a tough shot.
And you talk about a team that has a lot of talent. Jeff, we haven't even seen Laura Nichols yet. Talk about one of, the good Spanish players and who's been around the game so long, EuroLeague games. I think she won the Euro Cup, has won EuroLeague, and we haven't even seen her play yet.
No, she's just waiting over on the bench to get her number called by Le Pena. Oh. So that was a break for Sopron.
We didn't see Xander Lucini play too many minutes on Friday night compared to what she's used to playing, around 20 minutes a game. She only played 13. Same with Laura Nichols, not putting up a lot of minutes in this Final Four, but I do know, it was said in the press conference before the tournament began, before the Final Four began, that Fenerbahce were dealing with, a few cases of COVID a couple weeks ago. So maybe some of these players are still having, they've tested negative, obviously, because they would not be playing, or they wouldn't even be in the bubble if they were still positive. But maybe some of these players are still having, lingering effects to COVID symptoms. We don't know. Same thing with maybe Sopron. I mean, every team this year, I can tell you, has had to deal with COVID and COVID-related, postponements, missed games, and things like that.
Well, let's see, Le Pena read your message. He's put Laura Nichols in the game. And Sopron missing now Thomas for Fenerbahce. Fenerbahce trying to lower the boom here in the first half. Up 16, Kievan. And Kievan travels. Shukor trying to give her team a lift. And Jasmine Thomas, or no, Laura Nichols, steps over in front, picks up the foul. Yep, she just bowls over January. Oh, that was a nice bounce pass, but just got away from Krajnik. And now Yagapova quickly to the other end. And McBride rushed her layup and missed. So
It's
7
interesting
on.
watching Yagapova play as well. You know, I was talking to French international Valeriana Yayi, ni Vukoslavovic maintenant, now, but she says she had the opportunity to play with the Agapova when she played in France, and she goes, everything she does is just so easy. You know, it doesn't look like she's doing any effort while she's sprinting down in front of everyone else. You know, same thing. I mean, those who watch Friday night, some of the shots that she makes, they just look easy, and these are incredibly different plays that she is doing.
Yeah, certainly cannot be easy to play against Yagapova. Probably a little quicker than you would imagine as well. And here she is getting to the free throw line. I mean, she's such a great player offensively, but she will make a big play on defense. You remember she won one game against Lyon when she picked the pocket of Maureen Johannes at half court and went in for the winning layup as time expired. And also her passing ability is from the top level.
It really is. It's incredible right now. All aspects of her game. And defensively, I mean, do you remember the Lyon Asvel game from the second hub, I believe it was? Steps up, huge defensive possession at the end of the game, and it's the reason why they won.
Yep, that was it. That was the one, I mean, against Johannes. But anyway, Sopron going down and getting the layup. Brianne January. And suddenly it's back to 14 points. Here's Yagapova, doesn't wait around. And La Peña is already, I think, signaling for a timeout. January bounce pass. Boy, that was a good play from January. Krajnik. Oh, Krajnik has got to make that shot. She will be beside herself for missing the layup, but at least she has been fouled. So Victor La Peña, after the early shot and miss by Yagapova, decides we need to get some order back in our offense again. Timeout.
And there you see Sabally already with 10 points on the night. McBride with 8 rebounds, and Thomas with 2 assists for Fenerbahce.
So the final, Shona, will tip off at 6 p.m. Central European time. And between Avenida and UMMC Katerinburg. And Katerinburg trying to win this competition for the third time in a row. course, last year was canceled because of the coronavirus pandemic. But those two teams put up a good fight in the semifinals, or these two teams put up a good fight in the semifinals against them. Of course, Fenerbahce took it to the wire, and they've been right on the verge of delivering a first-half knockout here, but they've just allowed Sopron to creep back into the game, haven't they? I mean, still
Yeah,
up
like
14, but
it's still at 14, but it doesn't feel like that right now. You feel a little bit of a momentum shift, maybe on behalf of, Sopron forcing some early shot decisions by Fenerbahce, some misses. Now they're getting to the free throw line, their offensive rebounding. It's a team, I mean, these women are all competitive, and it's very, very hard to play in a third place game, especially after a loss. I'm sure Sopron were disappointed. Same with Fenerbahce on Friday night in the semifinals. But that being said, these women are professionals, and they're also all incredibly competitive. So they're not going to let up.
well, Walker, ball goes out of bounds, so that was a missed opportunity. But Fenerbahce's last 4 consecutive possessions have come up empty. And Zandalasini will come in for Yagapova. So Yagapova heads over to the bench, having scored 7 points on 1 of 3 shooting. And another offensive foul called on Fenerbahce gives it back to Sopron. It's almost as if they're just inviting them back into it. That was on Kia Vaughn. A foul drawn by Krajnik. Meanwhile, good defensive recovery by Zandalasini, but then is whistled for the foul. So now free throws for Sopron. Yeah, she steps over to help out. She got a lot of ball there, perhaps a tad fortunate that January is able to get to the free throw line.
She did have a lot of ball. I'm not quite sure if her left hand was maybe on January's hip as she was going up for that layup. But like you said, I mean, Sopron, the way you crawl back into this game is you get some stops you play aggressive defense, you get some stops on the defensive end, and getting to the free throw line is a very good and efficient way to get back into a basketball game.
Alize Varga also in the game right now for Sopron. And another empty trip for Fenerbahce, who are watching their lead just kind of fade away here. Now it's just 8 points. The jump shot by Krajnik. And all the momentum right now for the team in yellow. McBride has it knocked out of her hands, gets it back. Now Vaughn. And that was kind of a crazy shot by Kia Vaughn. It was kind of like she was thinking about her footwork. And that was a rushed attempt by January.
But again, I think another trip to the free throw line. Let's see here. Not a lot of contact, but it's really hard, and it's hard to explain this to your players when you're a coach, to say, if you be aggressive, the aggressor, defensively or offensively, is usually the person who comes out on top. So right there, Brianne January decided to take it at McBride, and she benefited. Maybe it wasn't a big foul, but if the ref sees a good aggressive take on the offensive end, more often than not, they're going to reward the person who's being more aggressive.
Yeah, you're right. And she did have her hand on her back. I don't think she pushed her, but sometimes that's all it takes. But I think you're right. I think it's almost the attacking player often is rewarded for being the aggressor. And this Fenerbahce team has just lost its mojo here over the last 3.5 minutes. And again, they head over to the bench with 1:28 remaining in the first half. And what was once a very significant lead of 18 points has been whittled down to 7, and Sopron have the basketball.
Yeah, Jeff, you kind of felt like there was no fight in Sopron the first 15 minutes of this game. There you see the game leaders, Brooks with 8 points, January 4 assists, and Krajnik with 8 rebounds. And you felt like they wanted to compete, but they just didn't have the energy to compete this first 15 minutes. Things were a little bit difficult to start the game for them, but they didn't give up. They stayed at it. And maybe, I'm not sure, if Fenerbahce just kind of decided to go in cruise control and took their foot off the gas a little bit, because they just don't look like the same team that had the same energy the first 15 minutes of this game, who kind of came out, proved why, there's a reason they almost beat Ekaterinburg on Friday night, why they're one of the best teams in the women's EuroLeague. But, Coach always said, never give up, that it's a 40-minute game. You can't even take a few minutes off because the team can get right back into it, and that's what we're seeing here in the second quarter.
Also, some good minutes from some players that didn't really figure into it the other night. Right now, it's Varga that's in the game, at least Varga. Shukor has gone out. Okay, so no, Varga has gone out, and he's gone back to his starting 5 of Brooks, Fegvernecki, January, Krajnik, and Walker. A little hesitation for Brooks, and she gets it to go, and now it's a 5-point deficit for Sopron. I mean, this would be an incredible win for Sopron if somehow they could come back and take the lead and get the victory at the end. Of course, a long way to go before that would happen, but gosh, down 18 points. And again, another opportunity. Brooks guarded closely out on the perimeter by Sabally. Fegvernecki puts it up, and much tougher shot that time, and probably not your first option. Vaughn hands it off to Zandalicini. She gets it back to Sabally. It's go time for Sabally, and they've called a hold, and if it is on Brooks, that's number 3. And I kind of agree with Brooks. It looked like Sabally led with her elbow.
Offensive foul there to start with.
Yeah, that's Fenerbahce might consider themselves very lucky on that one.
And that's Brooks' third personal foul. So again, she's been a big part of this run that Sopron have made late in this second half here. So she's not someone you want to see get into foul trouble, especially possibly picking up your 4th foul before the third quarter. There's just under a minute 30 left to play.
It's interesting, Shiner, though. You remember what happened the other night, and she kind of lost her composure and got to technical. But I think right now the realization is there that they've had a good run. They've still got the good vibe. Don't let this take us out of our game. But she does have 3 fouls. She doesn't want to pick up number 4 here at the end. What a move from Brooks. What a finish from Yelena Brooks. Thomas. And that is how the first half finishes. What an interesting first half. Sopron rising from the dead and closing the gap. They trailed 36-31 against Fenerbahce here at halftime.
And really, Jeff, like you said, what a kind of comeback in the last 5 minutes of that second quarter. Fenerbahce shooting 40%. They were shooting 54 at the end of the first quarter. So obviously their mark has been off a little bit. But for me, it's the last 5 minutes was all about Sopron. There you have the high scorers, Brooks and Sabally with 12 apiece. And then Krajnik and McBride, 5 and 8. January and Igopova to round it out for each team's leading scorers at the half. And I really, it kind of felt like, all right, this is how the game is going to go. Sopron, they just don't have it. They're missing Gabby Williams. They just looked defeated before they even started the game, to be honest. I think it was really hard for them to get up and play in this game. And they never gave up. They found a second gear and then even a third gear at the end of that second quarter. And Fenerbahce, I think, maybe just became a little bit too casual. They did have a big lead. Both teams were able to go to their bench. And I think they just, they just thought, well, maybe Sopron are going to give up and we can ride this lead out for the rest of the game. But that's absolutely not what basketball is at this level. And like I said, these women are high-level competitors. And I know this is only the third place game, but both these teams, all these players, they want to win this game. It's very important for them individually, as a team, and for the clubs.
Yeah, I think that point that you make about all of these women are professionals and they're very competitive. I think out of everything that you said was right, but that one is more important than anything. I mean, they do not want to take this lying down. They want to come back and show what it means to play for Sopron, and they also know they've got a lot of fans watching back home. So, now the big question is, Shona, how do you maintain this momentum in the third quarter now that you've gotten to halftime? Sometimes the halftime comes at the absolute worst time for a team as they make their comeback.
Yeah, I mean, I think halftime came at a good time for Fenerbahce so they can take a break, kind of regroup, talk about what was working early in the game, what they need to do to start this third quarter. And like you said, sometimes when you're going on a run and you're starting to play better, you saw some players, Brooks hitting down shots, January was being more aggressive, getting to the free throw line. And you're right, it can kind of take away that momentum for them. I think what you have to talk about when you go into the locker room and the veterans, I'm sure, are going to step up and say, hey guys, that last 5 minutes, that was the way that we want to play. That's the kind of intentions that we have to have defensively and offensively. We need to continue attacking. We need to play more aggressive, not let them decide what we want to do offensively. And, let's not lose that feeling that we had to end the second quarter. And you just kind of, you hope that your veterans like Yelena Brooks here, we see that January they're going to step up and continue to lead their teams.
Well, both of those two players, they each have 3 fouls, so that is a big concern for Sopron, who are already without Gabby Williams for the day. But you know what? It's game on here, the third place game between Sopron Basket and Fenerbahce. It's Fenerbahce leading it 36-31. And Shona and I will be right back before the start of the second half.
Oh, I was almost about to fall asleep and then the game got interesting.
36-31, it's Fenerbahce on top of Sopron basket here in the third place game at the EuroLeague Women in Istanbul. Fenerbahce opening up an 18-point advantage, and seemingly Sopron on the ropes have come back and trailed by just 5 points at the break. And Shona, I know that as usual you have given an in-depth study analysis of where it has gone wrong for Fenerbahce. Even though they're winning in that first half, why were they not able to put this Sopron team away?
Yeah, I just thought they became a little bit relaxed, and maybe they thought they were gonna end up winning easily. But this is the Final Four. This is the third place game, and obviously no team at this level is going to give up. I do think that they weren't as aggressive as they typically are. They average 10 offensive rebounds a game, and they only have two here in that first half. And for me, that's just a sign of aggressivity or not being aggressive enough, offensively. And then defensively, I think they started the great game excellent. I mean, Sopron did not have one easy or good open look, completely out of rhythm, not moving as well as they typically do on offense, and that was because of Fenerbahce's defense. And I felt the last few minutes of the second quarter, the intensity on their defense for Fenerbahce had just kind of lightened up a little bit. But I do think Sopron were being more aggressive. For me, it's all about being aggressive and staying aggressive for the next 20 minutes, because this is such a high level that a team can come back and a team can come back quickly, and we saw that at the end of the second quarter.
And really, now, the pressure is on Fenerbahce, because if there's one thing that you cannot do if you host a Final Four, is go 0-2.
Yeah.
And they will know that having led by 18 points, if they're not able to get a win, or if they don't get a win, questions will be asked. So they should be coming out all guns blazing in the second half. But again, even without the star defensive player of the year, really, in the EuroLeague Women, Gabby Williams, Sopron perhaps want to show that they're not just a one-woman defensive team. They want to come out and show some fight. So Fenerbahce certainly is a player that falls into that category. You talk about the competitiveness, somebody that's played in this competition for so many years. She looks at every Final Four win as important. Well, the second half is underway here in Istanbul, the EuroLeague Women third place game, and between Fenerbahce and Sopron, and Jakubova comes right out, gets a steal, and scores an easy basket. And that pretty much tells us all that we need to know about this approach for Fenerbahce, certainly for Jakubova in the second half.
Yeah, good job by Jakubova coming out and just being more aggressive defensively, is able to pick the pocket of January and goes in for, she ended up missing, but got her offensive rebound.
And also, you would think that would be a tone-setting play. Here's Jakubova passing it well up the court, and Hatar takes the pump fake, goes out, and really a very disappointing start for Sopron here in the third quarter.
I have a feeling that the halftime for Fenerbahce and Coach La Peña, I'm sure he gave them an earful of, how he thought they weren't continuing to play aggressive.
And now an offensive foul called on Hatar. And just slides over in front of Sabally. And all the good work of Sopron that they put in there over the last 4 or 5 minutes of that second quarter in danger of just being wiped away here by a poor start in the third quarter, lack of concentration, whatever.
Yeah.
So Yagapova gets to the baseline. Kia Vaughn drives in. And finally a chance for Sopron. They get a stop. But again, we talked about it. Halftime did not come at a good time for Sopron because they had all the momentum. Krajnik gets inside, and I'll tell you what, Gaspar knew exactly what he needed to do, didn't he? And he got Krajnik back in, and already she's gotten 2 points. Thomas. And Thomas doesn't finish well. And again, another opportunity for Sopron. Krajnik this time stepping outside, maybe not the best option for Sopron early in the shot clock. I guess she was open, so she wanted to take it.
Yeah, like you said, probably not the shot that or the best shot that they could have got on that offensive possession.
Kia Vaughn, meanwhile, banks one in to take the advantage back to 9 points. January sets the pick on McBride, frees up. Walker, she launches it. And boy, they could really use Walker's three-point shooting.
Yeah, they could. She's 0 for 4 tonight. Same with Fenerbahce. She's been kind of quiet, hasn't made a basket, 0 for 5. I think if Sopron really want to get back and, are able to pull off this comeback win, they need Fenerbahce. They need players like Walker to step up and start making some baskets.
Well, good defense by Brooks, preventing that pass. It was the right idea, but Brooks was at the right spot. Remember, she's got 3 fouls, as does January, and now the reach and the foul on Thomas. Well, just kind of fighting through that screen. Not even fighting through it, just kind of made a little bit of contact. But they called the foul. Here's Fenerbahce just inside the arc, misses. Krajnik there for the offensive rebound. Boy, what a shot that was from Krajnik.
Yeah, good job by her going aggressively to the offensive rebound. I didn't think she was going to be able to make the other side of the basket there.
Yagapova now misses, coming up short. Oh, beautiful bounce pass. Brooks puts it up, and now they start to get that vibe back that they had in the second quarter. Sopron and Victor Lepena again forced to call a timeout, with Fenerbahce leading by 5 points.
And a good job by Sopron not to, I guess, kind of freak out after, a couple turnovers, offensive foul, some easy baskets for Fenerbahce. But for me, especially, it's still early here in the third quarter, but you can't give up too many opportunities like that to Fenerbahce, because then the lead's just going to bloom.
So, Shona, you think that Sopron have been living a little dangerously with that start at the third quarter, but they've righted the ship?
Absolutely. against a good team like Fenerbahce, you give them too many opportunities, they're just going to run away with it. I think, okay, it was a couple bad possessions by Sopron, but you can't continue to have a couple bad possessions consecutively in a row. And this is, I mean, there's 16 minutes left in this game. They need to clean up their game. They need to tidy it up a little bit more if they want to, come back. They're still down 5.
Oh, big possession here for Fenerbahce. I don't think they want Sopron to get any closer. Thomas dumps it down low to Vaughn, but 3-second violation.
A good defensive possession there by Sopron. A lot of switching, helping each other out.
Was it a 3-second violation or a 24-second violation?
I think it was a 3-second on Kia Vaughn.
Yeah, okay. That's what I thought. Here is Walker again. That could gives to Brooks on the baseline. And, oh, boy, ball didn't go down. Looked like it was on its way down and came out. They would definitely like to get it to Vaughn down low again. Here's McBride, kind of a circus shot. And that is, again, perhaps not what the doctor ordered early in the shot clock. Walker, she's going to keep putting them up, and there you go. Walker, the good ones keep firing them up, and she has.
Yeah, good job by Walker. Kind of a slow game. She was 0 for 4 from the three-point range before that. But like you said, the good shooters and the people who have confidence in their shot, they keep on shooting even when it's not going in.
And this time, the reach and the foul, and Vaughn upset with herself because she knows she could have had a three-point play if she had only made the layup. But the bad news is that is foul number 4 on January. And she's going to have to take a seat, and Jukor will check in.
I talked a little bit about Sopron on their lack of bench on Friday. So when you are missing one player like Gabby Williams, other people obviously need to step up. But again, when you have someone like January now who has to go out because she has 4 fouls, there's not a lot of people that he has on the bench. He doesn't have a deep bench that has contributed a lot, throughout this EuroLeague season. So it's interesting to see how these players will respond.
Well, this is what defines your career, is how you take advantage of these opportunities, and this is a huge opportunity for Jukor. Walker gets it over to Brooks, and Brooks, I suppose Brooks also needs to keep in mind, her other teammates have shown the ability to put the ball in the basket. I mean, Walker just hit one. So she doesn't have to feel the need to carry the burden. Good hands from Brooks there. And Yagapova, meanwhile, puts up a 3. It's short again. And somehow, Fenerbahce don't pick up the basketball, but Krajnik does. Dribbles out of trouble. Fegvernecki at the line. And
she just cannot buy a basket here tonight, She had a couple good open looks on Friday night as well, and just hitting the front of the rim. But they're good shots, and they're shots that she has hit her entire career. And, if you're a coach, that's what you want one of your veteran players to do, is continue to take the shots that they know how to hit. And these have not been kind rims to Fegvernecki.
So that foul was actually on Brooks. I thought they were saying the foul was on Sabally, and Brooks now has 4 fouls. So in the space of a couple minutes, both Brooks and January have picked up their 4th foul. And we're still in the third quarter. So Brooks will come out of the game, and Varga will replace her. So now Gaspar has to manage the situation here and depend on some of his less heralded players. And Shona, what they might lack in terms of offensive prowess, they can certainly make up for on the defensive end.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, right now, without having some of your scorers on because of foul trouble, so it's defensively.
Well,
Okay, you get the ball to those who can shoot.
you got to like the positive attitude of Krajnik, though. I mean, she has come out in this third quarter and really led this team. She now has 11 points. So a 2-point game. Jagopova has gone cold from the perimeter. Now Sabally. And Sabally is denied but fouled by Krajnik. I would almost be tempted to make her beat me with her jump shot rather than allowing her to drive. Okay, so the foul was actually called on Varga, Alice Varga. It was Krajnik that was stepping over to help out.
You know, talking about some of those players right now who have to come in and step up for Sopron. I mean, Varga has only played in one EuroLeague game. She has played, you know, she gets okay minutes in
Hungary.
in the Hungarian league. But I mean, talk about, you know, having to step up and play on the biggest stage because you have teammates out and you have teammates in foul trouble.
Oh boy, an offensive foul on Krajnik moving while setting the screen. That has to be the most made call by a referee in all the games. You can see some of the players are really frustrated.
And again, I think it's kind of, you know, I think the defensive player does a good job of also exaggerating the hit.
Here's Jagopova. That's more like it for the MVP of the EuroLeague Women, driving down the paint and putting it up off the glass and in. So a couple of times Sopron have had possession with a chance to tie it. They haven't done so, and now Fenerbahce have gone back in front by 5 points. Jagopova fouls Walker. Yeah, I mean, this is a good time for, I was thinking Walker to come out and shine, but even with the 4 fouls, January able to handle the basketball, get the foul on Jagopova. Fegvernecki looking for a little bit of space. She gets it at the elbow and still can't get it to drop. So frustrating shooting. Final 4 for Zofia Fegvernecki. Zukor with the tough assignment on Jagopova and forces the turnover. So traveling was the call on Jagopova. I didn't see the travel, but it might have looked a little funny. January. Launches and offensive rebound by you-know-who, Krajnik. And look at her. She's into it. She's loving it. She's having a big game.
Yeah, she is. She's doing a great job for them. Really stepping up at times when you feel like they need a big basket or they need a big play.
She's got 13 points. Here she is sliding down low to play defense on Zandalasini. Ojai Shakur misses, and Fenerbahce Sabally looked like she had her hands on the ball but lost it. And then Jagopova steps in there and forces the turnover on Fegvernecki. Jagopova is such a disruptive force out there, defensively especially. Oh, a push on Zandalasini. Leaned into it with her left shoulder. Oh, absolutely. Good job defensively by Zukor.
And like you said, these people, they need to step up. What can you do? You can always play tough defense. You can always, give that 100% effort defensively, and that's what we're seeing here by some of these Sopron players who typically don't get a lot of minutes, but they have to play right now because, Brooks in foul trouble. January is back in, but she was out for a while as well.
And now the hold called on Ojai Shakur Turgut. So, and look who it is. It's Shakur. For some reason, harassing Shakur, but does not give up free throws. They're not over the limit. Another one would put them on the line. Fegvernecki. See if she can get her first basket here. Good defense by Shakur Turgut. She gets it to Krajnik, and Krajnik is fouled as she goes up. Boy, that would have been an amazing finish had she been able to make the shot and gone to the line for a three-point play. Well, you can't speak highly enough, though, of this player in this quarter.
Yeah, even in the first half, I felt like she had a quiet, but when you look to the stats, you said, well, actually, she had a really good first half. So one of those kind of quiet performers. She has 5 offensive rebounds on the night, 14 rebounds, 15 points now, I believe. She already has a double-double.
Yeah, she's the player of the game.
Yeah, absolutely.
So that last attempt there by Fenerbahce comes up well short, and they are clinging now to a 47-46 lead over Sopron.
Get a look at the statistics. Sopron shooting not a huge difference, really. 3-point shooting, 2 for 13 for Sopron. They've done a good job getting to the free throw line, especially after the first quarter. I thought the second and third quarter, they're being a lot more aggressive in getting to the free throw line, which is helping them because, you stop the clock and you're going to the line for to shoot an easier shot than a contested shot during the play. So I think they've really, aside for those maybe first 3 possessions of the third quarter, I thought they settled down and said, okay, you know what? We remember how we were playing when we got back in this game. And honestly, Jeff, to only be down 1 point right now when you started the game not so great. You started the third quarter with a turnover and an offensive foul. To only be down 1, you have January Brooks with 4 fouls. They were in foul trouble. They had to come out in that third quarter. And you're also playing without the player of the year defensively in Gabby Williams.
But what I find more interesting than anything is how Fenerbahce can play so well. And then it seems like they're their own worst enemy at times, especially offensively.
Yeah. I think sometimes it comes so easy to them that I think, like you said, they're kind of their own worst enemy. Maybe they take a few possessions off and they don't go as hard as they always are going when they are trying to score, where they are trying to be aggressive. I'm not sure. I mean, that's just the way it kind of seems when you watch them play tonight.
Well, it started really midway through the second quarter for Fenerbahce. They were up 18 points at one stage, and he got his starters back in, but they never really got to grips with, reasserted themselves. And it looked like Sopron were just going to completely go off the rails at the start of the third quarter, the start of the second half. And yet they were able to stabilize things right when he inserted Krajnik into the game. They brought her back in, and all of a sudden, everything started to click again for Sopron. So having trailed by 18 points, Sopron have closed the gap to 1. Sabally, bounce pass, and not entirely on the same page, or maybe she led her a little too much. Kia Vaughn And Sopron with a chance now to move in front. Well, you know, the fans at Sopron watching this game have to be excited, and this time the double team from McBride and Shocker Turgut forced the travel.
That was good defensive possession there. You see it. They're just so aggressive, Fenerbahce, when they want to be defensively, and then sometimes they look like they just sort of take possessions off.
Well, here you go. Now they've turned it over. January sneaking in there. And now Krajnik. Oh, and Krajnik would have paid for that shot and missed the layup. That would have put him in front. So a bullet dodged by Fenerbahce. But at this stage, you feel like it's only a matter of time before Sopron do take the lead. They have been the better team in the second half. Brooks gets it back to January. And Krajnik now down low to Brooks. Follows up the miss. And then lost it. Here comes Thomas. And Shocker Turgut takes it back outside. Thomas open. Good!
Yeah, and a big shot there by Thomas, who's also kind of, been a little bit quiet for this Fenerbahce team so far in this game. It's her first points of the game.
So the hold has been called, and here again, Thomas picks up the foul. That is number 2. So not in foul trouble. Boy, that was a dangerous pass. January, a little wraparound pass to Krajnik, and it goes off of her, and maybe January, instead of trying to pass, she could have gone all the way up. Well, it's going to be a tough shot.
Going up against Kia Vaughn, who, she had the most blocked shots this year in EuroLeague Women. So I understand her intimidation, thought about trying to pass at the last second.
Thomas, she just hit a 3. Now she misses with the drive. And January crosses midcourt. And Shocker Turgut trying to get around Krajnik, who was able to get position that time. Another jump shot wayward. Thomas rebounds, runs, zigzags her way down low over to McBride. Another 3 from the same spot where Thomas hit it. And despite their struggles, Fenerbahce have been able to go back in front now by 7 points. And you worry for Sopron because they've had, 4 or 5 chances to take the lead, and they haven't done that. And now Fenerbahce have moved back in front by several points.
Yeah, I mean, the worst person to leave open is McBride for an open 3-point shot. But like you said, I think Sopron has had a couple missed opportunities and a couple missed shots, but good shots, shots that you want them to take. And, they've just missed, and Fenerbahce have done a good job kind of waiting around, taking advantage of opportunities given to them. Thomas with that big 3, and then McBride now, and then now you see the all of a sudden it was a 1-point game, and now it's back up to 7.
And I guess the one that hurts is the one where Krajnik, who's been outstanding, missed in the lane.
Yeah.
And, how deflating is this for Sopron, knowing they were right there? I mean, do you even look at the scoreboard, or are you just playing it possession by possession?
I mean, what you have to remember is that Sopron were down 18, okay? And it takes a lot of effort and a lot of energy to come back. So I'm not surprised that we're seeing some easy kind of misses. I thought January was open off of that inbounds pass, quick handoff to her little baseline jump shot. Krajnik missing that layup in transition, what seemed like an easy shot. But when you're fatigued, I mean, this is their second game in 2 days. 3 days technically. They only had one day off, so they had to get over a loss. Then they had to start preparing for the next game. Down 18, so they had to fight back to even, get close in this game, and all the amount of energy. And I can just imagine right now the fatigue that is kind of hitting both these teams. And I think we're seeing it more for Sopron than for Fenerbahce.
But that's a crucial foul right there. She has fouled out of the game on that call. That is a tough way to go out, Shona. So January picks up her 5th foul on the offensive end. Got a little tangled up there trying to get around the defender. And Walker back in the game. Hattar as well. And Sopron now without one of the most important players, without two of the most important, when you have Gabby Williams that hasn't even played. But now the good defense forces the turnover. Next woman up, philosophy. You got to have players that are hungry and ready to go. And you feel like it's only a matter of time before Brooks picks up her 5th foul. And another turnover. And Sopron, who played so well for such a long stretch now, really starting to lose their way offensively. Well, that bounce pass, a little miscommunication there to Sabally. Great anticipation by Thomas. Oh, she looks off the defender and puts it up. And that is what you call a layup dagger.
And you can just kind of see, I mean, I think Sopron have really, I think it was hard for them to play in this game. I think they were disappointed. I think they were tired. Keep in mind, I mean, Fenerbahce has a lot bigger bench, a lot deeper, bench than Sopron does. And I think right now you're just kind of seeing some mental mistakes being made, and some mistakes and some misses that don't normally happen for this team because they're tired.
Well, that basket takes it up to a 9-point advantage now for Fenerbahce. Sopron, that's their numbers for today. So from a rebounding standpoint, they've done pretty well, but offensively you can see they're a little bit off the pace, just 46 points when they're averaging about 72.
Yeah, we saw Friday night, they had the same kind of difficulties scoring compared to the kind of scoring success that they have had throughout the rest of the season here in this year's EuroLeague. I just, for me, watching this game and you and I covering the game on Friday, Jeff, I feel like Sopron's playing better. Yeah, they've had moments in this game where I don't think it's been great basketball, but I wonder if they kind of played with this intensity, had those, couple other people stepping up, if they could have pulled off the win against Avenida.
Yeah, you're probably right. It's a good point because it was certainly close in that third quarter. I mean, Avenida opened up a bigger lead as the game wore on, and really, I mean, is that not a consideration, though, that you have to have as a coach throughout the season, knowing that you need to have that deep bench for reasons like this?
I mean, look how deep Ekaterinburg's bench is, and there's a reason why. I mean, they also have exceptional players, but I think it's very beneficial. It's very beneficial at the end of the season as well. And like you said, I mean, anything can happen when you have to play, especially this year, how EuroLeague was set up with the hubs. You know, you had a lot of games in a short amount of time, and the deeper the bench is during those kind of little, I want to call it a mini tournament, um, it benefits you definitely.
Well, McBride gets it up and in. Boy, it's been a happy spell for Fenerbahce here over the last couple of minutes. They've gone from leading by 1 point. Now they've opened up an 11-point advantage. And finally, Brooks stops the rot and gives her team some hope. Sopron pulled back to within 8 with that three-pointer, and Brooks has 17. Midway point of the fourth quarter. Time starting to become the enemy of Sopron. Thomas leans into a desperation heave. Vaughn able to lean over Jukor and get the offensive rebound and put back. And this time, Ojai Turgut stuck her foot up there to prevent the pass, but was called for a kick. Well, just seeing Krasnick come back into the court, come back into the game, you do give Sopron a chance here at the end, don't you? Because she just seems to have a certain oomph about her game right now. Terrific leadership.
Yeah.
She is. She puts it up. Well, not if she shoots it like that, they won't come back. And a desperation heave. Fenerbahce, you just can't buy a basket.
And again, I mean, Fenerbahce hitting jump shots all season long. She doesn't average a lot for Sopron, but she's really, really capable of especially hitting her pull-up jump shot, and it's just has not been falling for her in these last two games.
Well, Sopron would like nothing better than to get some turnovers and points off those turnovers. But at bare minimum, as you have mentioned, perhaps get to the free throw line. We're struggling for points. Timeout on the court, though, as 3:57 remains. Fenerbahce want to discuss their end-of-game strategy.
There you see McBride with 13 points.
And 10 rebounds.
Yeah, double-double from your, guard position, basically. How good is that?
She's a scrapper. So what did it? Do you see Sopron having a chance here at the end if they can get some stops?
I mean, absolutely. The game's not over. There's, a little under 4 minutes left. We saw Sopron come back down even more than this in a short amount of time. But it's all about. I mean, one, you're missing January. She didn't score a lot, but she was definitely aggressive when they made that run in the second quarter to pull back the game. You're missing her on the defensive end. You're having to play players who really have not played a lot at this level this year. So it's all about getting stops. If they can stay aggressive, taking, opportunities, good shot opportunities on the offensive end. If not, being aggressive and maybe trying to get to the free throw line.
Okay, so 5 on the shot clock. The ball inbounded to Thomas. And she gets swatted by Krasnick. Not sure if that was the play that they wanted. It looked like she was trying to make a quick pass down the baseline, but it wasn't there. So Sopron did what they needed to do on that possession for Fenerbahce. Can they get some points at this end? Great defense by Satu Sabally, reaching in and knocking the basketball away.
Yeah, just a great hustle and defensive play there by the point guard of Fenerbahce.
Now Thomas hands it off to McBride. Gets it back. Now McBride, shot clock winding down, and again crashing it, comes up and makes a play on defense.
How good has she been tonight?
Very.
Very. She's doing it offensively. She's doing it defensively, grabbing offensive rebounds.
And this time the foul called on Kia Stokes. So Brooks will get free throws. And that's a good call. Got her just right on the follow through. So Brooks takes her time. She's had a decent game offensively and now has 18 points, 7 of 18 from the floor, 3 rebounds. But again, the big number also for her right now is 4. That's how many fouls she has. Although unlike January, she's been able to last deep into the game. And you know, are you happy if you see McBride go out? Yes, but you're not happy when you see Yakupova coming in to replace her. If you're a Sopron fan. Walker
and this is what I'm talking about. I mean, the team that has a deeper bench, you know, typically ends up winning. Some zone defense here by Sopron. They give up the offensive rebound to Kia Stokes.
Well, Satu Sabally over to Vaughn. Shot clock winding down. Vaughn in the paint. Krajnik is just going to have a monster stat line after this is over.
She really is.
Walker from behind the arc. Well, looked like it grazed the net. Turgott, her pass intercepted by Brooks.
And those aren't the kind of, you know, you have the lead right now. You have an 8-point lead. Yeah, of course you want to take good shots. You still want to be aggressive and push the ball, but you can't have a turnover like that at this point in time of the game.
Shukor back in, gets it back to Fenerbahce. Fenerbahce with the shot clock winding down, and then Shaker called for a foul. So that was some good fortune as well. Boy, Shaker's really playing hard here in the second half. Oh, boy, so they do call the 3 on the 3 for Fenerbahce.
Yeah. You know, pretty good aggressive defense there by Satu Sabally, who has to go out because she just picked up her 4th foul. But at the same time, you know, I do think she leaned in and she didn't let the shooter come down after the shot. You know, you still have to leave them space to be able to land.
And finally, Fenerbahce gets it to drop. She'll take this one and the next. So it's 2 out of 2, and now 1 more, and it can get very interesting. In fact, it already is. It's a 6-point game with 1:44 remaining. What an effort from Sopron. They've really had to dig deep today without Gabby Williams, with foul trouble, with a really poor start, but they have ground away and somehow found a way to stay in this game. Now Fenerbahce reaches in and commits the foul on Thomas.
And not a bad foul there on Fenerbahce. You know, you have an opportunity to be aggressive here, especially defensively, because you still have some fouls to give. So, you know, maybe you get away with that and you're able to steal the ball.
So 14 seconds put on the shot clock. Ball inbounded to McBride, who gives it to Thomas. Now Yakupova goes right at Walker. They cut her off. The pass back to Thomas and hits another big three-pointer.
And just when you think Sopron are, maybe going to take that turn and go on a little bit of a run, someone from Fenerbahce steps up.
Well, Brooks does a great job following up her miss, getting the basketball back. Still some work to do for Fenerbahce.
21 points on the night. So Brooks is just, you could tell she was frustrated Friday night during the game against Avenida. And I thought she has come out and kind of proven to everyone why she's still one of the top players in Europe.
Well, that was Fenerbahce with 0.1 second, it appears. And maybe fortunate, Fenerbahce, that a foul wasn't called on Thomas here. She went for the ball. A little bit of contact there with Shukor. 0.1. I mean, they have to throw it towards the basket, really, don't they? And they do, but it has to be a tap.
Yeah, and like you said, I mean, we have the advantage of being able to see a replay. So, of course, once you see the replay, the refs don't have those advantage if they don't make the call. It looked like Thomas got away with a foul, offensive rebounding foul there.
Well, I think more than anything for Sopron and their coach and their players, they're going to leave with their heads held high because they have faced some adversity, not just in this game, but obviously losing the first game to Avenida. And this is what good teams are made of. This is, these are character building opportunities. And in my mind, they have come out and shown us what they're all about. I mean, the competitiveness is there, and they're going to fight to the last second.
Yeah, we talked about it a little bit. I mean, these are professional women, and more than that, they're competitors, and they want to win. They want to win every game that they play in. So I did feel like, they had to use a lot of energy to be able to even come back and be in a position to only be down a couple of possessions with 35 seconds left on the clock. And, especially for them to come out and fight the way that they have fought here tonight without the Defensive Player of the Year in the EuroLeague, Gabby Williams. Without her scoring, she is leading the team in points per game this season for Sopron. So it just shows you, other people stepped up and how badly they want to win, even though they are a man down.
You can only be impressed by Krajnik with those 16 points to go with her 15 rebounds and 3 steals as well. Oh, Shukor, you got to inbound the basketball. And she did not get it in time. That is the one thing that is almost unforgivable for a team, is not to be able to inbound the basketball when you're trailing by 6 and every possession is priceless. What went wrong there?
I mean, I think she was waiting for, I'm not sure if it was Walker to come up and open up. And then here now they need to foul. But again, Jeff, I mean, you're playing here with players who don't get a lot of minutes, who don't get a lot of playing time. So for them to make those kind of mistakes, I'm not surprised. Yeah. But it's a good learning opportunity, and I can guarantee you she's not going to make that kind of mistake again.
So here's the question. Has the foul been called on Brooks? Because if it has, she's now out of the game with her 5th. Because Fegvernecki also came up. So, well, Thomas hasn't played a perfect game, but she has certainly shown what she's made of as well today. Some timely shot making and tough-nosed play on defense.
Yeah, I mean, Thomas, for me, she had two crucial three-pointers that came at a really good time, and a time when you kind of felt like Sopron had momentum and maybe they were going to, take the lead or cut it even more. And Thomas came up with two big threes here in the fourth quarter.
So I guess also the lesson is don't fall behind by 18 points, because when you do, you are going to have to expend so much effort. And as you try to climb back to the top of the mountain, it's just almost, sometimes it's just too high. You just can't make it all the way back. That's Fenerbahce. Good drive, but finish wasn't there. And now Krajnik is fouled down low. But will they have enough time here? So the foul is called on Sabally. And Krajnik goes to the line. Well, if she makes both of them, it's a two-possession game. Does she still qualify as the player of the game, in your opinion?
Oh, I absolutely think she's a player of the game. I mean, she has a double-double. She had a double-double, I think, after the third quarter. She's been the go-to player. 17 points, 17 rebounds, 3 steals. You really can't ask much more from a post player.
Well, that's it, folks. Great fighting effort from Sopron in an attempt to get back on level terms, but they trailed by 18. They closed the gap to 1, but Fenerbahce end up winning it 64-58 over Sopron to clinch third place.
Some statistics there. Fenerbahce shooting the ball quite a bit better than Sopron did. Sopron were able to out-rebound Fenerbahce, and a big thanks to that was Krajnik and all of her rebounds, her offensive rebounds, her defensive rebounds. Brooks, 21 points, McBride, 15, Krajnik, 17, Sabally, 13. Didn't see a lot of her in the second half. I thought she did a little bit better job offensively in the first half, but I mean, Fenerbahce, they really have threats everywhere on the court, and I think Sopron gave a valiant effort, and they didn't fold. A team can easily fold when you're down 18 early to a very good team, but that's not what we saw here tonight. They came back, they fought, they got back, they were down 1. And I just think they didn't have enough left. And they were also missing Gabby Williams, and I think that was a big loss and a big missing piece to their team tonight.
Well, Fenerbahce owe a debt of gratitude to Thomas, because I think when push came to shove, and also Shakir Turgut, she came out and really defensively and from an effort standpoint in some of those difficult moments when it looked like Sopron were going to come back all the way back. They stood up to be counted. It wasn't pretty at times for Fenerbahce, but in the end, they did get to the finish line, and they have clinched third place. And remember, this is a team that almost got the big victory on opening night over UMMC Ekaterinburg, but just didn't have quite enough. So we talk about it. It's always better to leave on the back of a win. Third place is not as glamorous as first place, but it's one of those oddities in sports that usually the team that finished second feels worse than the team that finishes third, since the third place team wins the third place game. Unless, of course, there's some type of bonus attached.
I'm sure these women have some type of a bonus in their contract, and that's what I mean. They're professional and they want to win, and to get to this level, you have to have a huge competitive heart, and we saw that tonight, especially with Sopron and Fenerbahce. I mean, we keep talking about Sopron. Don't forget, Fenerbahce did a great job. They came out aggressive, came out showing why they are one of the top teams in this year's Women's League, EuroLeague, Women's EuroLeague. So. I mean, Fenerbahce, they almost probably had the biggest upset on Friday night. Put aside the disappointment, they came out and they were able to hold on to the lead, and they beat a very good Sopron team who I think are very, very well coached and, have some great basketball players around the club.
Yeah, I think Sopron, fourth place. maybe if they didn't have the nightmare start, or maybe if the execution was a little bit better offensively, or if they just had been able to take the lead. I said they pulled back to within one. Yeah, they were down one, and again, Krajnik had that opportunity to put them in front, but she missed that shot in the lane. Had they been able to get their noses in front, maybe things would have been a little bit different. But perhaps another lesson to be learned through all this is, maybe from their standpoint, it's a luxury to have a deep bench, but there are going to be times when you have to rely on those people from the bench. And so during the regular season, they need to get as much experience as possible. But the fight was there. There's no doubt about it.
And, I think Sopron Basket and Coach Gaspar have to be happy with how they came out and performed here all season long, because I can tell you that beginning of the season, I'm not sure a lot of people would have bet on Sopron Basket being at the Women's EuroLeague Final Four this year. So I think that says a lot about the club and the coach, and also the effort and quality of the basketball players. And I think they should be very, very proud of how they performed this year.
Well said. They're taking their team photo here at the EuroLeague Women Final Four. And you know what? You're one of the top 4 teams in the EuroLeague Women, which is the premier competition in women's basketball. I know you've got the WNBA, but it's a shorter season. You got the same top players playing in both competitions, or many of the same, and a different dynamic. They've got domestic campaigns that they have to contend with at the same time, cup competitions, and just a great season-long performance turned in by Sopron. And for Fenerbahce, the big question is, will they eventually be able to get to the very top? They weren't that far this year. If one or two plays in their game in their semifinal against UMMC at Katzenberg had gone their way, who knows? Maybe they'd be playing in the second game tonight. But there is a lot to like about this team, and how desperate will they be to keep this team together for next year? You would think that they would want as many of these players back as they could get, because there is a lot of quality in that team. And for Victor Lepena, they just have to be able to avoid some of the dips that they've had in games. And I know it's probably the type of thing that any team goes through during the course of a game, during the course of a season. You have good spells and bad spells, but when you get to the Final Four, you have got to be ruthless, and you got to be on top of your game for 40 minutes. And maybe that's one area where they have to really concentrate.
Yeah, and Jeff, like you kind of said, they were so close to beating Ekaterinburg on Friday, but imagine they went 6-0 in the regular season instead of 5-1. Maybe they wouldn't have been in the same situation where they would have had to have played Ekaterinburg. Maybe they could have been, on the other side of things, and so I'm not saying that's why it was, but just like during a game, also times during the season, sometimes losses, and I think it was a loss to Asvel Lyon during the regular season, that maybe put them in a situation where they had to play Ekaterinburg in a semifinal instead of meeting them possibly in a final.
So it's about winning as many games as you can throughout. I think next year is going to be a more normal EuroLeague Women. I think, fingers crossed anyway, that we're going to get on top of this pandemic, and that'll be a real cause for celebration. All of these players, they obviously are going to celebrate this win tonight, and they have the luxury of not having to go to the airport, I think, unless they have a road game. They would go home, have a good meal, rest up, and get ready for some big games on the domestic front in Turkey. And no doubt a lot of these players also will end up joining their national teams and playing this summer as well.
And we might be seeing Gabby Williams suit up for France this summer at Eurobasket.
That's interesting, isn't it?
It is interesting. Had the opportunity to talk to France's GM, Celine Dumeric, and she said Bria Hartley is still recovering from rehab, so why not invite Gabby Williams?
Well, all I can say is the rich get richer if that happens. And that would be quite an honor for her, and she would definitely be an asset. I guess she would have to get in the flow, wouldn't she, of that French team? I mean, that's a big loss if, in fact, Hartley can't play. But nevertheless, you get Williams out there. But look at Yagapova. Another successful season for her in the EuroLeague Women. Not as successful as she wanted it to be from a team standpoint. She got the MVP. I think she probably played better in the semifinal than she did in the third place game. But all in all, you can't really take too much of too many issues with the way that she's approached things.
Yeah, I mean, statistically, she's the only player to average over 20 points a game, but it's more than just her scoring. She absolutely does everything for this team. She can step up defensively and guard the other team's best players. She can also really, her decision making and her passing, for me, are the two things that have improved so much in the last couple of years in her game.
So here's some of the highlights again from the third place game. And as a reminder, Fenerbahce, who had lost in the opener to Katzenberg, taking on Sopron, who fell to CB Avenida. And Fenerbahce started this game, and it looked like they were just going to pull away for a big win. They went in front by as many as 18 points. But Sopron, one of the qualities that allowed them to make it through this grueling season and to make it to the EuroLeague Final Four is a never-say-die spirit, and that was on full display. Let's see, January here getting the steal and fast break, but also by the likes of Krasnick here, who was really the leader of this team, and I think we both agree was the player of this game, even in defeat. And also with players like Brooks, who's always going to continue to battle until the very end. Sopron really had a great season in the EuroLeague Women, but they've just come up short here at the Final Four, and I'm guessing that they will move on to bigger and better things as well, not only this season domestically, but they will come back all guns blazing and get ready for another EuroLeague Women. What do the people do in Sopron when there's no women's basketball on, Shona? Nice part of the world, though, I have to say. There's a lot of woods there. You can go for good long walks.
And they have decent wine there.
Yes, they do. Yes, they do. And university as well. So, again, Walker perhaps didn't give as much offensively as they could have used. She started to get it going a little bit. She missed her first 4 threes, didn't she? Then she hit that one, but they just never were able to really get her big time going. And then McBride and Thomas hit some big three-pointers late. I think that three from Brooks helped keep Sopron in it. But I think that was the second big three, wasn't it, from Thomas? Or was that the first one that she hit from the other wing? So Fenerbahce win the third place game, beating Sopron here in Istanbul, and now just a couple of hours away from the start of the final between UMMC Ekaterinburg and CB Avenida. So I think we will be signing off. Shona, you got time for a quick 5K run, and then I want you back in the seat.
Sounds good. I will see you and all the fans for our next game coming up in a couple hours.
Okay, thanks for watching, everybody.